Welcome to part three in this six-part resilience workshop from carers in Hertfordshire. This video focuses on practical coping. Now, practical coping includes all the skills, the expertise, the equipment that we need to be a bit more resilient. There are many areas of our lives in which we all need a bit of practical support, and for lots of carers, safety is one of the most important. This could be something like dealing with falls. It might be worth checking out Carers in Hertfordshire's falls prevention workshop or getting in touch with Herts Fire and Rescue Service that can come out to your home and do a free safety check. Perhaps you need advice on which moving and handling equipment to get. It might be time to contact someone for an occupational therapy assessment where someone comes to your home and advises you on what kind of equipment you need to ensure the safety of yourself and the person you're looking after. You can request an occupational therapy assessment from whichever organisation is responsible for social care where the person you're looking after actually lives. So, for many people watching this, that will be adult care services at Hertfordshire County Council. Hearts Ability and similar places are also another great place to go and look at, try out, get advice on lots of different equipment before buying. Money is another area in which we could all often use some advice. Sometimes it's worth getting in an independent financial advisor to take a look at our finances and work out the best way of investing savings, pensions, and so on. At other times, we might need to receive benefits from the government, and the Department for Work and Pensions is the place to apply for these and get some overall information on them. It's worth saying that at the time of recording, the UK is in the grip of coronavirus, so things might be slightly different. And it is worth getting in touch with the Citizens Advice Bureau to see if you are now eligible for benefits through losing a job, working slightly fewer hours, being ill and unable to work. It's a time of great change. And even at the best of times, Citizens Advice Bureau can offer some advice and guidance on which benefits you're entitled to and help navigate a complex system. The Money Advice Unit from Hertfordshire County Council is also a good place to go to find out which benefits you're entitled to and how to maximise the amount of income you can receive. And it's also quite helpful in terms of making sure that if you are entitled to a discount on your council tax, you can claim it. There are all sorts of eligibility criteria that we're not at first aware of. They publish some really helpful fact sheets, and we can refer you to an advisor through them. Finally, it's worth mentioning that there are places that offer grants to carers, so no strings attached, sums of money for various purposes. If you give us a call, we can suggest grants that might be appropriate for you, for your purposes. And it's also worth mentioning that Carers in Hertfordshire's Make a Difference grant is available to everyone, all carers, regardless of income. So if you're interested, please do give us a call. Medicine management is another area that we can often use some advice on, and the GP is usually the first port of call. Pharmacists are often very helpful too, and sometimes easier to access than a GP. They can offer advice on administering medicine, things like, is this particular drug available in liquid form instead of just in a tablet? It could be that the person you're caring for has developed difficulty swallowing since the medicine was first prescribed. Pharmacists can also arrange for dosset boxes to help keep track of which medications people are taking, and they can offer advice on side effects. So if you have any concerns, or if you're wondering whether there is an alternative medication because you're not getting along with the one that you've been prescribed, they can offer advice on things like that. Personal care is something that many people just get on with and make do the best they can, but there is a lot of support and equipment out there to help make things easier. Personal care includes things like washing or dressing someone with limited mobility or cognitive ability, brushing teeth, shaving, dealing with incontinence, things like that. If you're not really sure where to start, Ask Sarah is a good internet site that's divided into clear sections. You can look at equipment available by the kind of person that you're caring for, so adult, child, someone with a disability, someone with dementia, and it's also divided into rooms of the house. So you can look specifically at what equipment is available to help with various conditions in the bathroom or the kitchen. Hospices are another good port of call. They offer support to anyone with a life limiting condition, and their advice is available to the person with the condition as well as the carer. Carers in Hertfordshire does run personal care courses, and in the south of the county, we can provide care workers to come into your home and help with personal care. There are private care agencies who will also provide care workers. It's worth bearing in mind that there are carers breaks available through Crossroads, Turning Point, and other organisations where care workers can come in and deal with the personal care so you get a bit of a break. And if that's something that you're interested in, then please give us a call to find out more. Sometimes practical coping is less about knowing where to turn and more about knowing what to do, and that's where objective decision making tools can come in handy. I'm going to go through a couple of them with you, and this first is called poetry because the initials of the steps spell out poetry. It's quite simple, so you could copy it down and write it out. Sometimes it is helpful to write out problems, or you could go through the steps in your head if you felt so inclined. We start by writing out our problem. The example I've given is I can't stand being around my husband all the time. At the time of recording, a lot of people are self isolating because of the coronavirus, and people are being kept together when they might prefer to just have some time apart. So, this is a problem I've chosen as an example. When you've identified the problem, you then write down all the different options for solutions, as many as you can think of. So you could take your hour of exercise separately instead of feeling you have to do it together. We could do different activities. Even if we have to be in the same room, we can just do something different. Divorce, it's an option. It's probably not the first thing to try. But when we're writing down options, it is a great idea to put down as many as possible, as ridiculous as possible, just to see that you do have a choice. Even if it's a choice that you're going to completely discard as soon as you write it down, it shows that you are making an active choice, you are taking control of the situation. Even if you don't know which other one to choose, you know you're not going down that route just yet. Then E, evaluate. Which one are you going to try first? So, not the divorce option. I've said that I would try exercising separately to begin with. I've been going out with my husband, trying to go out for walks together, and maybe I just need to go out for a walk by myself every now and again. So, then the next step is to do it. Take action. Today, I will go for a walk by myself, and he can go for a walk by himself. Or maybe he doesn't need to go for a walk today. Maybe we alternate. I go by myself one day, we go together another day. Then, when I've done the step that I said I would do, I reflect. Did it work? Actually, yeah, I felt happier and better able to enjoy our time together, so I didn't mind going out the next day because I'd had that space the day before. The final step in poetry is to say yes or no. Did it work? Yes, I enjoyed it, it worked, I felt better, I'm going to keep doing that. If the answer is no, go back to the options stage, choose a different one, give that a go. So that's an example of how poetry can help make a decision and see it through. Another objective decision making tool is DICE, which is a little more complicated. And that's more of an action plan for a complicated situation that is out of your control to a certain extent. With dice, we start with the E, the end result. So I'll just go through what the different letters stand for. D is the decision, where the final decision is made, or the person who makes that final decision. I is influence, so the person or thing people listen to or take heed of, who influences the decision maker. Contact is the first thing you need to do, or the person you need to contact to begin to make this happen. What's the first step in the process? And E, our starting point, is the end result, the change or difference or single thing that will really benefit you or the person you care for. So we start here because this is the aim. What do we want to see happen? And in my example, I want my child to move into mainstream school from a special school. That is my end result. Having decided on that, I would then fill in the different rows as the answers came to me. So there is no set order. It's a flexible process. Having decided what I want, I might then decide to look at who does make that final decision. I want my child to move, but who actually chooses? Where does the power lie? And in this case, it's the head teacher's choice of this particular school. The head teacher is the one who will get the final say. There will be lots of other influences, but the decision, the buck stops there. So who influences that head teacher? I'm not going to go straight to the head teacher and say, I want my son to come in your school. There are lots of other people who are involved in the process. So here's potential form tutor, class teachers, special educational needs coordinators, head of year if it's a secondary school, lots of other people who the head teacher will listen to. So I can think about influencing them, getting them on board before going to the top. I've got 3 out of the 4, but I still don't know where to start. Where would I go to get the ball rolling? And in this example, I would probably go to my child's current teacher, who knows him best, who knows whether it is actually in his best interest to go to a mainstream school, or if this is just wishful thinking on my part. So I've got my dice plan, I know what I'm aiming for, and I know who to contact. Sometimes it's helpful to just get these things written out or straight in your head so it's not a huge unmanageable task. You're breaking things down, you know where to start, you know who you need to speak to, and it's an easy way of motivating yourself to actually deal with this problem. Now it's time to put it into practice. If you've got the time now, why not use poetry to address one problem with which you need practical support? You might find it useful to consider the categories in this video: safety, money, medicine management, personal care, or decision making, but you could choose to focus on something else, even something that's not related to your caring role. Remember that this can be as brief or as detailed as you want. The idea is to come up with an action plan to address one particular problem so you feel more confident in taking action. You could pause the video here to copy out the poetry table or do it in your head. It's entirely up to you. That's the end of part 3 in our 6-part resilience workshop. The next part will cover support networks. See you then.